Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Quantum Health Connection podcast. My name is Heather Crimson, and I am here with my wonderful co host, Vanessa Baldwin. And today it's just the two of us, no guest. We're going to do our own podcast about winter. We did one before, but we're going to do it again because we've had another winter under our belts, and we just feel like in the quantum health world and in our world in general, winter is such a health ally. But the beliefs about winter and health, well, actually, whatever those are, I don't know, Vanessa, what do you think they are? But that winter is like a time that some people love, but a lot of people struggle through. So we want to help you to, or remind you, or teach you if it's new information for you, how to use winter as a healing period of time that can be actually quite enjoyable.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's perceived by most people as not a good time, honestly. I think most people don't love winter. They like brace for it, they hate it. I always hated winter, so I totally think that that's true. And because why? Because it gets dark so early. I mean, by me, it gets dark at like 3, 4 o'clock. The day is so short. It feels like it's like there's not enough time in the day to get things done. It's cold and dreary, and you don't want to go outside, and you're not getting all the benefits of sunlight if you're not getting out there. You don't you just don't want to most people are like going to the parties and even the holidays come up and all that kind of comes up and it's all the hustle and bustle of that with it. Like, so it's all the food and all the hustle and bustle of the holiday season. So it's a lot of stress too intertwined when it's supposed to be your period of like reflection, restore, go inward, but we kind of do the opposite due to our modern living. So I think most people don't really enjoy that. I think people like fall and spring, but I think it's the winter that people really struggle with the most. And I'm definitely feeling the shifts. I know it's still pretty warm where you are, but here for me, it's in September. And, yesterday I got up and it was 50 degrees out. And I was like, oh, I'm still going to keep my shorts on, but it was cold. Like, and I was like, I needed a sweatshirt, to take my sunrise walk. But yeah, it's definitely starting to get a little chillier. And I'm feeling like I'm wanting to make some shifts within myself when that happens. Like kind of happens naturally, which I think is really amazing. Like, like my body's like, oh, I just intuitively want to do this, or I intuitively feel this, or yeah, I just feel like I'm very in sync with nature and its rhythms, and I just kind of naturally make shifts. So people will ask me those kinds of questions like, oh, like how do you shift your meal timing or how do you shift that? I'm like, it kind of comes naturally after more and more every year of doing this. I feel like, and I'm sure you feel the same, that it just becomes more natural, right? So
Yeah, even though it was, excuse me, in the mid 90s here yesterday, it's going to taper off. It's going to be in the 80s and so forth for a while. Yeah, I do live in the desert and it's definitely different from where you are at in New York at your latitude. But I still had this urge to make chicken soup. So
yeah.
with vegetables, and I haven't had soup for a long time, probably since last winter. So I can feel it even though it's warm. I have this like urge or notion or this whisper inside of like, hey, soup. And so it's definitely coming. And I think, yeah, I totally agree with everything you're saying, Vanessa, about the common sentiment about winter. And I think it's because it's the instinctive response or the sort of natural consequence, if you will, of us unknowingly, unwittingly going against everything our body wants to do or not do in winter. So we get a lot of symptoms. Like people have more skin rashes, people have more depression, like you were saying. People have why am I so tired? All of
Weight
these.
gain, weight gain, weight gain.
Oh, weight gain. Yeah, yeah, weight gain,
Mm-hmm.
all these symptoms because we're going against our biology. And if you think about traditional peoples or what I call natural peoples, they're more plugged in still. And sure, yeah, we don't want to go back to electricity and all that kind of stuff. I get it. And however, they don't have these symptoms. So it's context specific. It's because of how we're engaging with our environment. And so that has a huge impact on what our bodies do. And I think that's one of the biggest beliefs that are hard to shed is that, like, I can just do whatever the hell I want. And my body, like, I don't understand how something like just having the lights on at night could have such a big negative impact. There's a big disconnect there. But once you start to realize how much your body craves those natural signals, whether it be more light in the summer or more darkness in the winter, you start to get on board because you feel better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I actually am like excited about like going to bed a little bit earlier, and which is already happening. Like I've been in bed now at like 8. I'm getting off my phone like earlier, like getting off devices earlier, wearing my blue blockers earlier. Like those are some small shifts that just happen. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna rest more. I can read more. Like all of that. Like it feels good and nourishing, you know? And it's funny with the soup conversation. It's like my family's like, Mom, we're done with burgers. We're ready for you to make chicken soup. They said that to
Wow.
me. So they even feel it too. They're like, they love
Nice.
homemade chicken soup. And it was like we had a stretch because the weather for us will do this weird kind of thing where it's like kind of chilly and then we'll get some hot days and then like it'll go back and forth. And we had this like stint of like chillier days and it was like rainy and cold and I made bone broth and I made soup and then it was like hot and I didn't want to eat it. And I was like, well, I'm going to eat some of the cantaloupe that's out in my garden still. Like it's like this weird kind of like
Yeah.
transport, like back and forth kind of thing right now. Like where like all of my garden is like giving me like the cantaloupes were ready and things like that. And like you want to eat that stuff, but then it's like, oh, but like on a colder day, I don't feel like that. It's so weird. Like I was eating so much fruit throughout the winter and like really enjoying like a ton of,
No, summer. You
oh,
said
sorry, summer. Thank you.
winter.
Summer, summer.
Just to not confuse people.
Yes, please. Thank you for that good catch. Through summer, I was eating so much fruit, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like when I'm gonna that shift's gonna happen. But all of a sudden, there it was. I was like, oh, I think I want a cooked apple with cinnamon, or oh, a pear like cooked, or oh, I wanted to like cook the berries, or like that like simple shift alone. I was like, watermelon doesn't sound good anymore. We had this huge one that I got from the farm that like took like days to eat. I mean, that thing had I should have waited. It was like had to be
50
25
pounds.
pounds. It was so big. But I'm just saying, like my body was all of a sudden like making those shifts like oh okay I don't really want as much of that and even wanting more fat whereas through spring through summer I like didn't really want any fat. I was like fat doesn't feel as good. I want to eat more carbs and now all of a sudden I feel that shifting again in me. I'm like oh okay my body knows like because it's so connected it's like time to make that shift too. So it's just so interesting to feel it.
Yeah, in the summer we get more light, we have a lot more energy. We are doing abundance, our body is right, doing its thing when it has all that extra energy and calories and all the things. And then the whole point again, from a natural perspective, is that you're preparing for winter. And then people would stock up and they got their wood and they got all their canned food or whatever we were doing, their canning, and then you're gonna rest. You're gonna have those fires and you're going to do more of your needlework. You know what I mean? It's like depending on what your background is. And so I want to help people to invite our listeners to really embrace winter as a time of reflection,
Mm.
rest, deep restoration in our bodies. More darkness equals more, right? Cleansing, more time your body has with the melatonin. We're going to talk about these things. So it's really a beautiful time. It's very much, there's serenity, there's, yes, you can do all the family stuff, but I mean, I think that's the hardest thing, Vanessa, for people is like, well, I have all the Christmas parties and I have all this and I have all that. And we're eating a ton of sugar. And so I don't think like my whole position on carbs has changed, Vanessa knows, but I think that you can still do some of that, but you're going to have to make some adjustments. Like we'll talk about today, like wearing your blue blockers, like try to keep the sugar a little bit lower, don't go hog wild and eating all the stuff because you're going to really mess up your
I think the
system.
timing of the eating also matters
Yeah.
too. And of course, right? If you're eating that kind of sugary or stuff kind of like later in the night, right? The insulin response is going to be different. Somebody, it was a doctor I was listening to on TikTok. It came like scrolled up, like it was the first one that opened my feed. And she was naming all the things that can affect blood sugar besides actual food, which was great because she was talking about stress and infections and sleep and hormones. Wonderful. But she never mentioned light or meal timing, which honestly, those to me are before those things, right? Those are simple things or simple kind of low hanging fruits that we can tug on really easily. And in winter, it's like, oh, okay, if I'm going to eat something a little bit more sweeter, like a pear or an apple, or even like more complex carbohydrates, which you want to switch to, when can you eat that? Maybe more midday, earlier in the day, so it's not like it's at night where it's going to be spiking that insulin and then like, messing up leptin and melatonin from actually getting to where it needs to go. And then also it's not only that, but the light, like we mentioned it, like the light that you're under is going to, impact that blood sugar as well. So it's so important. So yeah, and I think too, when it comes to like outings and whatnot, like I mean, I've been doing this even before I was into like quantum and circadian because I was always concerned about my weight because weight was always an issue for me. Bring food to places too is always an option like that you can do. And I feel like some people might see it as like snobby or stuck up or whatever, but it's just your standards. Like it's just how you like I don't feel good. Like I view junk food, junk light. I don't feel good when I interact with either one of those things, right? So for me, it's like the standard of my body and what it needs is that I don't engage with that. I don't even see that as food really, but I don't engage with that because I have standards for myself. And it's not because I'm snobby or stuck up or I don't like your food or I'm better than you or whatever. It's just because that's the standard that I need for my body to feel good. And I have the right and the choice and autonomy to feel good in my body by picking foods that feel good for me.
Yeah, we never have to justify taking care of ourselves, period.
Right. But I think people do that. They're like, I
I
feel weird.
know.
I feel awkward.
Because you have to remember, Vanessa, we are social mammals, and then other people's views of us, even though we want to say like, I don't care what anyone else thinks of me, and you know what I mean? It's like we're tribal. Like, let's just get over that right now. Like, we're tribal, and we do care what other people think about us because we need connection. We want to fit in our community, whatever it is.
Yep.
But you have to find a way to trust that people are still going to accept you, who the ones who matter. Because if they don't accept you because you want to be healthy, then they're not good people for you anyway. So just remember that. I used to carry a metal MSR or whatever it was, camping thing to work for years. And everyone's like, "You're a vegetarian?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm eating my chicken right now," or whatever, you know? So people just, if it's new and they don't know what it is, it's automatically threatening. Like, I don't know what that is. Why are you doing that? Why are you different from all the rest of us? And, it's definitely a thing. However, I think it's a great opportunity for you to be confident in your own skin
Yeah.
and bring the best dish. Like, I'm going to make this kick-ass thing and everyone's going to love it. And I'm only going to eat that, for very little, whatever I can eat. And then people think like, that's amazing. You brought this dish. And then they'll ask you questions like, why are you doing this? Or why don't you want to eat everything else? Like, yeah, I just can't. Like, I can't eat wheat. I just learned my lesson. Vanessa knows, like, I'm like trying to do this thing. I can't eat wheat. So if I want to suffer, let's eat the wheat. But so if I want to take care of myself, that's my perfect right. And if
Yeah.
other people are
I love
threatened by
that.
that, if other people are threatened by that, then that's just a reflection of where they're at with their own sense of self, right? So,
100%. It's definitely a reflection. And I love that. It's my perfect right because it is a perfect right that we have. Right.
mhm.
So,
All
yeah,
right. So what else do we talk? We talked a little bit about nutrition. Is there anything else we want to like healthy fats? When you say healthy fats, yes. So switching from maybe, lighter fats in the summer. So you do
like
whatever
olive
natural fats are in
oil.
the food. Yeah, olive oil. What do you do
Mhm.
in the summer though, just to contrast it?
I just eat a ton less fats and probably use more olive oil. And in the winter, I'll eat more fats and
Yeah,
less.
because see, the fat and the carb thing is important, you guys. This is what we're learning when all this sugar diet blew up and it was this big brouhaha. Some of us were more interested than others, but is that you want to keep the fat low if you're eating a lot of high carb in the summer, and then you can switch that in the winter. You can eat moderate carb and then a little more fat because you need that insulatory effect, right? That satiety.
I find with myself is I need a balance of all
Yeah.
macronutrients for myself to thrive as a woman. So as a woman, when I say I'm low fat in the summer, that means my fats were down to like a low fat day is like still 40 grams. Like that's a low fat day for me, which some people would think, well, that's still pretty high, and I've had to like go in and track a little bit to see where I'm at because I'm just curious. But like if I don't eat fat for me, and again, it's individualized, like do what works for you. And
Yeah.
maybe it's where I live, and maybe it's because I'm a woman, not a man. Maybe it's because I'm getting into premenopause. I don't know. But if I don't eat fat, like I will literally feel like I'll start losing my hair. I'll be more irritable. My eye will start twitching. Like, I mean, like this is not like my nervous system literally gets more dysregulated. Like it needs healthy
Yes.
fats, I find. But because I'm eating more high carbs in the summer, I do bring those fats down some. I need less, right? Because I don't need them to be zero, but I don't need them to be, 80 like they might be in the wintertime because it's just not necessary because I'm running more on glucose. I'm running more of the mTOR, right? I'm pushing more mTOR than AMPK, which is just different metabolisms we have. It just really means burning sugar versus burning fat. So I'm burning more sugar for fuel, but I still need healthy fat. So, but it is more like your olive oil, your eggs, maybe what comes from my dairy. I still continue to eat raw dairy, so I'll get some fats from there, like full fat dairy. But in the wintertime, I'm gonna do more tallow and lard and, way more butter and more soups and stews. And they're going to have like gravies. They're going to be hearty and they're going to have I'm going to cook with more fat. Like, and then I'm not going to be eating fruit really. I already feel like already it feels like I don't really want it as
We
much.
can eat a little bit of cooked fruit.
I'll eat cooked fruit typically. Yeah, applesauce, stewed apples, pears. I mean, technically squashes are fruits.
Yeah.
So I do eat squashes and pumpkins and things like that. So those are technically fruits, but they're not simple, they're complex. That's the difference. They're these complex carbohydrates instead of these simple sugars. So they actually take more time for the body to break down versus where a simple sugar, the energy is real quick, right?
Yep.
Where these complex carbohydrates, the energy is more slow, which is why when I eat squash and steak at 3:30 on in the winter, I can go all the way till the 9 o'clock the next morning and not need a meal because it's this
Yep.
slower acting stuff also. So it all really kind of enmeshes really well in this beautiful dance if we follow nature's rhythms, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a menstruating woman, you still need definitely a fat amount, a good amount of fat, and then your nervous system might need even more. So as a
Yeah.
menopausal woman, I notice the further I get into that, I don't need as much fat. It just doesn't work as well. But in the winter, I will definitely, I've already noticed you like I'm gonna bring out the tallow and so forth. So
Yeah.
absolutely dependent on like where you live and the in the time of year, and then your developmental stage of life. So just
Yeah.
experiment with it like Vanessa does. And then I just have learned the hard way. It's like, okay, now that I'm in this phase of life, I can't do keto. It doesn't work for me anymore.
I can't do keto very well, very either. Like I can, like I was just explaining to a client the other day, so say like March, I'm sorry, January, February, March, there's literally no carbohydrates available in my environment anymore. Like they're gone. Like the apples, the squashes, they're pretty much gone. But if I went full carnivore, I don't feel good. So I don't do that. Like my body needs some carbs too. This is what I'm saying. My body doesn't like extremes. It likes balance. So maybe one day I'm having more of a carnivore like day where I ate more steak and eggs and maybe like some soup or something like that. But the next day I'll make sure I'll throw in some squash or potatoes or some carrots or some parsnips or rutabaga or turnips. Like I need those.
Rutabaga.
I need those things. What did I say? I said it wrong?
That's okay. Rutabaga.
Megan, whatever. Thank you.
You
Uh,
call them, and they also call them Swedes. It's
yeah.
an
Well, they are.
old-fashioned term. My grandparents used to eat all that stuff.
Sweet.
The kids nowadays, they don't even know what a rutabaga, a parsnip is. And I'm like,
Well, my kids do.
bad. Well, of course, yours do, but this is bad. Like, we need to recover some of our traditional food ways. If you guys are interested in that and you haven't heard of Sally Fallon, the Weston A. Price Foundation, go check her out. It's amazing stuff. She has an amazing cookbook. She's really nice. I met her in person. She's there. I've been to a couple of their conferences. The food is out of this world.
Sure.
Yeah, if you want to learn about traditional foodways, go to see them. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's not, I hear you. And so seasonal local, we got to talk about that because, quantum world is so big on like you have to eat according to your environment. I live in the desert. Like I am not going to be sitting here eating nopales and, whatever the hell else grows around here. There's not that much in the winter at all. There's not that much produce in general. If people didn't add a whole bunch of soil and have their hoop houses or whatever they are, like I'm not eating much. Yeah, I'd probably lose like 100 pounds because there's not much to be had. So we
Mhm.
have to be realistic in this modern age about what your body's going to eat. And I think we're a little more resilient than we, give ourselves credit for. Now, if you're living in the tundra, yeah, okay, so that's definitely an extreme environment. You're not going to get away with eating bananas and stuff up there. But like for me, I think because it's warmer a lot around the year, I can be a little more lenient and I want to eat a variety of foods. So I'm going to eat stuff that's not always local.
Yeah, 100%. Me too. I mean, I think we go to these extremes too when we learn these things, right? Like we swing the pendulum. Like I know I totally swung the pendulum when I learned seasonal and local. I'm like, oh my God, yes. And I like went like really hard on it. And then I was like, oh, like I can eat like some mostly like I grow vegetables here. Like I grow fruit and vegetables. I'm eating a lot and I buy from local farms and farmers markets and things like that. But I also really freaking like banana pancakes and I live in New York and it's not the end of the world, right? Like it's okay. Like it's okay. Like, am I going to eat banana pancakes in the dead of winter? No, probably not. Like I'm going to eat pumpkin pancakes, right? I want to switch it up. But I think we don't have to be so rigid and dogmatic. And I know you can get in these spaces when we learn something new and we can be like, go all in. And like, I can totally have that kind of flair to myself too. And it's like, but I think again, my father, he always said balance is the key. And I think he's right. Like I quote it all the time. Like it really
I love
is
it.
like just like finding that balance that works for you and knowing yourself and saying, well, keto doesn't work for me, or like even like no low fat doesn't work for me either. So I need the balance. Like, and that's
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, I think nobody talks about orthorexia in the quantum space, but there definitely is that and a lot of judgment. It's like, I'm done with that shit. So I'm going to
Me
do what
too.
works for me. And been experimenting with high carb and I'm trying to heal my mitochondria. And I don't care what anyone thinks. It's like, whatever. And I appreciate people like Georgie who've been talking about that. So, but come on now, he's in the jungle. So he has so
Well,
much.
he's in the perfect environment for
I
that.
know.
Let's be
I
honest.
know.
He's
I
in,
know.
and he's a male, and I think males can get away with a lot more. But I don't know. Maybe when I'm in your phase and I'm not a menstruating woman anymore, my hormones won't need as much fat. I don't know that, like until I'm
We're
in
made
that
to
phase.
see.
So
Yeah.
it really depends on so many factors. It's not like simple cut and dry. And it does kind of bug me when people make it so simple cut and dry. Oh, just do this or just do that, and blah, 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 blah. Actually see if it works for you is more important than just do it. And you know what? I love that you're experimenting with that and seeing how it feels. And I probably ate the most carbs out of any summer I've eaten in years this summer. And it was good. And I loved it. And
And you didn't gain weight.
I didn't gain weight and I love feeding my gut microbiome different things. And I didn't have more pain necessarily either, because that's always a thing because I'm a person who struggle with oxalates. Like I'm always worried about that, like, so I'm like, I even had oats and oatmeal. And I was like, oh, I can
I know. I remember when you were reluctant to eat them, and then all of a sudden I heard you were eating them. I was like, good for you.
Yeah, like come on, like this is allowed. And honestly, I think that our ancient ancestors would have had things like sourdough bread and oats and things like that through the winter for sure. They would have stored that up and saved it and used it. And they would have been making those things, of course, as well. And of course, they would have had canning and all that stuff too. So they would have been have some carbs. It wouldn't have been zero carb all the time. Would they have days like that? Maybe, but they would also have days where
You
they would,
got dried fruit. Yeah, you have different
yeah,
things.
dry fruit. I don't love dried fruit as much, which is so odd.
I can't do it's too high in histamines. Someday.
Maybe I don't know. Like I don't love the taste. Like I just had some dried mango at my brother's camper the other day. I was like, oh, I don't really like this actually. I don't know. It just and I like mangoes. Just wasn't it. So
They're very different dried. Okay, let's talk
yeah.
about movement. I think we pretty much dialed in the
Well,
nutrition
I
one.
would say we spout on nutrition, but also I do love the fact of adding in those heartier spices this time of year. I would
Oh
say
yeah,
that that's a good one. So like the cinnamon, the ginger, the nutmeg. Yeah, they
which are
feel,
all tropical. But anyways,
but
they're
they
warming.
feel
I
warm.
know. I'm just
Right.
joking with you. I'm
Yeah,
just.
no, they feel really good. Like they feel good this
Oh
time of
yeah. Vanilla, I'm all about the cinnamon. I
yeah,
use so
yeah,
much cinnamon, it's not even funny.
yes.
Okay, so movement. I'm at the 37th latitude, so I will be continuing with my weight training, but I'm not going to get too crazy with it. But I'm just doing a lot more movement stuff. I'm trying to do. It's really hard. Leo moves. You guys check him out. It's so cool, so hard.
Cool.
Another guy, I forgot his name, Jurgen or something on Instagram. He does these like fascial kind of movements. They look pretty spastic, but like flipping your arms up and down and stuff like that. I'm going to do more of that.
Mm.
And then I always walk because I have a dog. So we're walking out there 3 times a day. I'll just continue with that because I don't think where I'm at, it has to be a drastic change, much more of a subtle change.
Yeah. So like for me in the spring, I'll get the itch to start doing like, oh, more hits, maybe some sprinting, maybe some more like more intense workouts. And I continue that through summer. And all of a sudden here it was September and I was like, yeah, no, let's do some yoga. I was like, all of a sudden it shifts. Like, so I walk every day too. You guys know that. I have a dog. I walk 3 times. Literally, I'm probably walking at least 4 miles a day. Like that's the typical, and maybe sometimes five. And I will still continue to do that. I will make sure I do my sunrise walk. I usually, in the winter, it's more of a midday walk. Well, sunrise, early morning, like UVA time, and then like a midday walk in the winter. In the summer, like when the day's lighter, it's like early morning sunrise walk, a UVA walk, and then a sunset walk is usually how I do it. But it gets dark so early here that it has to be an earlier walk. So like I can't go to do the walk at, sunset time is like 4 o'clock sometimes. So it's like hard time to get in a walk at that time. But yeah, I will continue my walks, but I will definitely shift to more gentler movements, more stretching, more mobility, more yoga. I do weight training still, as well, but it's just there. I take out the intensity. The intensity doesn't feel right. Like it doesn't feel right to be like adding in sprints or doing box jumps or like these things just don't feel, I don't know, they don't feel aligned. And I just kind of lean into that.
Yeah, and I think the further south someone is, the more light they have, then you don't have to have as much of a shift. But for you, and I'm from Washington State, so I haven't been there for many years, but I can imagine that, yeah, it would feel very different. at the latitude you're at. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think we'd be remiss to not, because I don't think we put it in our notes, but to not mention things like about cold plunging. And I know that.
Mm.
So for women, I do think that we have to be a lot more careful with the amount of cold exposure we're getting. I understand we want to activate the brown fat and all of that stuff, the BAT. And I think depending on your health status, and especially for women, your developmental phase, like in menopause, I've toned down the amount of cold, super cold exposure. I was doing a lot of ocean plunging at 50, 55 degrees. That was cold. And I'd be in there for a long time. So that was kind of like, oh, more is better. No. Mm-mm. So at first it was great. I never really felt like I had any negative side effects, but Carrie, when I met with, she's like, yeah, no, 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 you gotta cut that out. 2 to 5 minutes, like three times a week. I was like, oh wow, I've been doing way more than that because it was fun. It's beautiful where I was plunging in the ocean. So now I just ending with a cold shower. I won't wear as many clothes sometimes, but to be honest, like I've changed a little bit. I am definitely dialed that back a lot. And I don't think that it's good for me to see. I'm really need to be careful with hormesis and the amount that I stress my body because I feel like it's I've been living in the cell danger response for like a really long time. And
Same.
I am so committed to turning that off and turning that around, thus more carbs, thus not stressing myself out around anything. Like I
Yeah.
don't even hurry unless I absolutely have to. So I have a totally different relationship now to the hormesis aspect because I'm very mindful of how much. So I think it's a fine line. Like, yes, we want to grow. Yes, we want ourselves to have some challenge, but how do you dance that line?
It's such a dance. It's such a dance. And me too. Oh my God. So in the cell danger response for so long. And it's so much better now than it was. But I think my body can easily tip back into that. And that's why it's so important to really dance that line very strategically. And we can easily overdo with the keto, with the fat. We're not men. Sorry, we're not men. We can easily overdo it with the keto and the fasting and the cold plunging. My brother, he could do all of that and not have any hormonal issues. I think he still does personally, but he could definitely handle more of it than I can,
Yeah.
right? But me, no, not so much. Like, and he doesn't understand it. He's like, well, I don't understand why you don't do good on keto or why you don't love the cold plunge. I'm like, I freaking hate that cold plunge, like with a passion. Like, it's just not for me. I can do cold exposure as being barefoot even through winter. I can do cold exposure through going out in less clothing. I can do cold exposure through being freaking outside when everybody else is inside,
Yeah, that's enough. I
cooking.
think that's enough. That's
I
plenty.
can do cold exposure by wearing my hair up on a cold day and getting my neck exposed. I can do cold exposure by doing hot and cold showering. I don't like to even like I like to like mix it up, go back and forth, hot and cold. But also my body at the end of the it depends on the time of the day. Like in the morning time, if I were showering, I'd want cold maybe. But at night, no, I want a warmth. I want all that warmth and heat,
Mhm.
So because my body like I don't know about you, but it totally happens to me in the wintertime. I notice it more. And it's probably because I eat dinner earlier, is I get pretty cold towards the end of the night, which is good actually. And it's like, so I won't want a cold shower. I will want a warm shower. So like just tuning in and listening to what your body is asking for is probably the most important information there is. I can do cold exposure by a cold, splashing some cold water on my
Yeah.
face, doing
Or
a
you can always do your wrists, you can do your face. It doesn't need to be this like whole thing where I'm gonna go jump in a tub of ice water.
like 30 degrees, walking out into the snow like they do on Instagram for reels for likes. Like that's for likes, that's for attention. I'm sorry, it's for attention. Right. Is it just me? Like I could make a reel like that and it could blow up, but I don't because it's not what I'm doing. It's not the life that I'm living. So I'm not going to portray that I'm doing that nonsense when I'm not. That's all. That's my thought.
Women!
I'm sorry. I
Okay.
can I can be
Don't
passionate about it.
apologize.
I
Don't
just I get
apologize.
passionate about it, Heather, because I feel like this is what I feel like, and I know because I've been there. We, as a woman who's been chronically ill, feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not,
Yes.
and I'm failing because they're doing it and I'm not. And my body says no. Your body is wiser than that Instagram reel. Like I don't ever want to portray that in to people.
I think
I want
sometimes the problem is, sorry to interrupt you. We
yeah.
want to be in our own integrity. We're not doing this to hustle, and for the notoriety, obviously. We are doing this because I mean, these are people's lives at stake. This is your health is your life is your health. Like you're only going to be as vibrant as your health is. So, it has to be in alignment with your own physiology. Like what is your body able to experience, basically? And I think for women, it's a lot about we need to just do less sometimes.
God, especially the people who are stuck in the cell danger response and so chronically ill. Always.
Exactly.
Need to
So
do
that's
that.
actually what I've been prioritizing over the last year. Now I feel better because I had a huge stressors, like major life transitions, experiences, and so forth. So I was just like, I'm just gonna like take a break and not worry about everything.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so that helped me a lot. So now I'm feeling like coming out of that a little bit, but we need to do less. So winter is a perfect time to give yourself permission to do less. Don't do all the things. It's going to be fine. Women are
Yeah.
like, oh my God, what are people going to think? It's really about what you think about yourself. That's the main thing, right? So if you think you need to do all the things that you've always done every year, why? Ask yourself why. What is the payoff for you? And what would happen if you don't do them? And how would that be for you? So doing less, I think, is a superpower for women that a lot of us have a really hard time exercising that power because we're afraid of
Yeah.
what people are going to think about us. And it's like, well,
Or we're
I
afraid that if we don't do the hit workout, we're going to gain the weight. Meanwhile,
here's
your
what
body's
you do.
stressed out so much that that hit work is
Well, yeah,
actually
that's true.
going to
But
force you.
as far as like all the obligations and all the things you think you have to do, if it's your loved ones, you're like, would you mind if we don't do this? Or would you mind if I don't do all the like bake as much or do all the whatever, whatever it is.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Good
What do
point.
they say? Yes, I mind. You must do all the things. Like, come on now. Do what you want because we override so much, and that's what creates a lot of pent up, unprocessed emotional frustration, resentment, anger, what all the things. And that is worse for your health than anything else. Really
So,
bad.
so agree. So well said. So well said.
Let's talk about hormones. So, summer, vitamin D. Get yourself out, get your butt out there exposed.
Yeah, you still need to go outside.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, sorry.
what I'm saying is winter, we're gonna do the melatonin.
Hmm.
Summer vitamin D, winter melatonin.
Yes, they're a seesaw, those two hormones. They're both hormones, even though it's called vitamin D. They're two hormones and they're a seesaw. So vitamin D is meant to be higher in the summertime. Melatonin is meant to be higher in the wintertime because we have more light in the summer and we have more darkness in the winter, right? So yeah, this is, we're getting vitamin D from the sunlight exposure, all that. But the thing is, those same receptors, right, that we have, those vitamin D receptors, melatonin can also bind. So the melatonin comes in and does the job, even though we're not making vitamin D. There's so many more benefits to sunlight besides vitamin D, first of all, that that's like not even close to just what it does. But you still go outside, still get outside at sunrise if you can, still get outside for UVA walks and UVB if you get it. I don't get UVB in the winter, but still get outside and get a light. But honestly, honoring the darkness is really the most integral part about winter, because you're going to really ramp up your body's own endogenous production of melatonin, which is our master repair hormone. So it's giving us that, apoptosis and autophagy, cell death, cellular repair, all the things, and even mitophagy, cleaning up that damaged mitochondria. It's like this inward time where your body goes up and really does a lot of self-cleaning. It's anti-aging, it's deep repair. So you have to avoid the things that are going to steal your melatonin, which mostly is artificial light at night and eating late at night. Those are like the two.
Exception of orange and red bulbs. All the other art, like blue and green artificial light, orange and red bulbs
Yeah.
can be LED artificial, but it's a friendly spectrum for
Well,
us.
yeah, it's the right tones. It's artificial blue light that really spikes it, right? I do like using the strainless bulbs, the ones that I have. We had
Diego.
Diego, thank you, Diego from Strainless On, and you can dim his down, and they are so warm. It's like sitting next to a fire. So those I also like as well because there's so little blue emitted from that it's like probably the same amount of blue that would come from a firelight. So it's so much more warm. So you just want these warmer tones, less bright lights, less overhead lights. You can use orange bulbs, red bulbs. We like Midwest Red Light Therapy. It's good for those. Get a good ones there. Yeah, and just honor that darkness. Like it's literally dark in my house in the dead of winter at 4 p.m. Like it's totally dark. I mean, there's a couple of lamps with incandescent bulbs, but that's it. Like it's pretty dark. Like it's not like when you walk by the neighbors' houses and you see that bright white light coming from the house, like it's very different. And I get yourself some blue blockers. We both have discount codes. Check those out. Like get the blue blockers. If you have to be like your family's not on board, my family's like, a little bit like sometimes still, but we go with it. And I don't freak out when they turn on the light. All the bulbs are incandescent. Like
You're
it's
like me, I scurry off to another room. I'm like,
yeah, if they need to do homework or whatever or something like that, and they need the incandescent overhead lights on, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna retire to my room, which I tend to do. Wintertime, I can be retiring to my room at like 7.
I love it. You're a lady, you retire to your
I
room.
do. I retire to my room at 7 and so nice. And I like have like a lot of just time to journal, to reflect, to read, to just rest. It is so nice. And I close the door, I put my mask on, my earplugs, and I go to bed. And I pretend that I don't live with anybody else.
Yeah, I'm in my chamber.
I love it.
You, this is perfect. But your health is immensely benefiting and your soul benefiting from that time
Oh
and
yes, it
in the
so
winter,
is.
the darkness. So can you guys see how much of a benefit when winter can be? More time for you.
Yeah.
Let's be really specific about that so people understand that when you say melatonin docks to the vitamin D receptor, are you saying that we're getting all the benefits of vitamin D from melatonin? It does the same thing, or what are you saying?
Yeah, it does. Works on those same receptors. So yeah, yes, it does. It works on the same receptors. And there's two different kinds of melatonin. We've talked about this, pineal gland and subcellular melatonin. So pineal gland melatonin is only actually 5% of our melatonin production, and the subcellular is 95. That's the one that we make in the mitochondria. So that was really, really important. So when we talk about that pineal gland melatonin, we're talking about that you're getting in that morning light to replenish it, right? Through the pathway of tryptophan to serotonin, and then the darkness activates that. You need 4 hours of darkness before pineal gland melatonin actually is secreted. So think about that. If you don't get dark until like 10, 11, 12, that melatonin is really phase shifting into a way different time. It's peaking way, way later than it should. It should be peaking around midnight. And that sleep that we get earlier before midnight is so much more restorative than the sleep we get after midnight. So that's also another key factor. That's why I also love winter, because I go to bed at like 8, and then do you do this too, Heather? We're going back to the types of melatonin, but I'll go to bed at like 8, and then I'll wake up at sometimes like 3 or 2. And I'm not like, because I'm having a cortisol response, just because I'm like, I've had a lot of sleep. So then I'm just kind of like hanging out, and then I fall back asleep. Do you ever have that kind of sleep? When I go to bed really early, that's the kind of sleep that I have. And it's not like I'm restless or I'm like amped up or my heart is racing or like I said, I'm having a cortisol spike. It's just like, oh, I'm kind of like awake. Okay. And then I'll fall back asleep and go into like deeper dreams. It's just all very interesting. That's normal and okay, by the way, guys. I think Nico Kennedy talks about that as a certain kind of
Biphasic, it's biphasic sleep.
thank you, biphasic sleep. Yeah. So that definitely happens. So that's the one kind of melatonin. But the other kind of melatonin that the mitochondria make, they make in response to near infrared light, which is available outside all the time whenever the sun is shining. So it's really important to get outside into that sunlight every single day, even in the winter. And that's something that I make a priority around. I'm very intentional around that. And I know you are too. And it's really important because it's doesn't make you sleepy. It just makes this deep mitochondrial repair. And that is so important, you know? So, and then you could also, of course, use red light therapy devices. I love Kelly Bento's torch. I use it so much. Anything that's ever bothering me, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to torch that. And then I also have, a red light panel, which I use in the wintertime, not only for ambience lighting, but to get more of that deep, repair, because it is infrared. And also sauna is another use of that I make use of. So there's lots of different ways for you to get that. Even a warm shower or a warm bath is going to give you that infrared as well. So yeah, so important.
Yeah. So just to summarize here, woo, we covered a lot so far. It's really important to remember that it's, small differences, small changes can have big effect, right? So if you're like new to this information, it can be a little overwhelming. Our lifestyles, unfortunately, are not such nowadays that really lend themselves to what I would call healthy circadian living.
Yeah.
So it actually can bring up some big conflict.
Yes.
So I luckily, having been self-employed for many years, was able to shift when I was seeing clients, all my client load to the afternoon so that I could do whatever I wanted in the morning, be outside all morning, do whatever cold exposure I wanted, you know what I mean, cook my food. So if you're in like a 9 to 5 situation, you can still do these things. It's just that you find a way to make the time for yourself to get outside and take light breaks, be outside in the morning. And I know in the winter it's really challenging because it's not going to get light out till later. So I'm either like, if I have to drive somewhere in the morning, I'm going to have the window down, even if I'm going 80 on the freeway here. I did that yesterday. I was driving out
Oh,
to
I do the same.
the BLM land to walk my dog, and I had the window down because, it doesn't get light out till later, and I got to get out there earlier. So I'm driving with the sun rising like woohoo, and it's 80 degrees. So I mean 80 miles per hour. I'm going fast, but I still have the window cracked. So make the shifts like that slowly, make the accommodations slowly, put in one light bulb. If your family's protesting, slowly roll it out over a period of time so they can
Mm,
gradually get used to it, and then they'll protest less, and then they'll also see the benefits as you shift over time to
yes.
a more dark environment. Because I think that for some people it's so hard on them. Like some people just do not want to be in the dark. It's a big trigger, right? I
Mm,
can't see what I'm doing. Like I've had this myself, right? There's so I can't see what I'm doing, and I'm it's just a big, protest. So I'm like, okay. So I would wear a brimmed hat at night when I had to be in more light, right? And now I have more control over my environment. I would wear a brimmed hat. I would wear the orange glasses because it's like too much LED right above me. I would go to bed early, like you said, Vanessa. So there's ways you can still help yourself without blowing up your life.
yeah. And some may need red. I needed red glasses and I still like red and I still go to red. Like I mean I wear less blue blockers in the light when it's lighter out because I don't need them as much, right? Because it stays light so late, like 9 o'clock in the summer.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I don't really need them. And then I just kind of go to bed when the sun sets when it's like that. But now, like, I will wear orange, say in the dead of winter, say orange at 4 and then red around 7, and I'll switch it. And I really like that pattern. And I like the red. It really feels like really like settling me down. And yeah, what you said something I wanted to comment on, and now it just went out of my head. Oh, maybe it'll come back to me.
Protest around the protest or what?
Yeah, I think be the light is what I wanted to say. Like, be the light, be the change, take care of you, just do what you need to do for you, and they will either follow or not, but don't force it because force always meets resistance. I had to learn that the hard way. The more I forced it on my family and loved ones, it just meant a lot of pushback. So then I just started taking care of myself. Like Heather was mentioning, like, oh, I put my blue blockers on. I did change light bulbs. We made them all incandescent. I had the luxury to do that. I just changed the light bulbs in a lot of the rooms. But I also am not like, I'm not as sensitive where I'm like, oh my God, like I used to be, like it used to stress me out. Like it's not a stressor things anymore. So it's kind of like I just take care of myself and be the light and just do that. Right. So yeah.
Mhm.
So let's just like recap. In the evening, you want to wear your blue blockers, red bulbs, no late night eating would be really great. You could use orange bulbs, whatever, however you need to do that. Just get more dark. Oh, that's what I wanted to say about people being not feeling comfortable in the darkness, right? And I think it's because they want to be productive also. So maybe that's an invitation to just do less, right? Because I feel like that's my thing too. Like, I'm like, oh, the day is short. I have less time to be productive. I like to be productive. And I'm like, well, now that I can't, I have less time for that, right? So that's like an invitation to slow down and do less. That was also what I was going to say. Get the sunlight, like we mentioned. Firelight is great if you have a fireplace. Firelight is so healthy for you. It's so nice and cozy to sit by a fire in the winter at night. If that's a great source of infrared. But make sure you're still outside in sunlight. A couple of walks maybe outside. Red light therapy devices, saunas you could use as well. We bought a sauna a couple of years back. It was a great investment, and now it's so nice to see my kids using it. You know what I mean? Like they'll jump in and they'll use it, and that's like, oh my goodness, yay! I love that. And still move. Like move is also producing infrared light, and if cold therapy does help the body produce more infrared light, but just don't go to the extreme if your body's not craving that. Yes, I would say, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, those are good ones. I also think like don't discount things like snuggling, hugging, intimacy. Those are all really great for nervous system and really good ways to pass electrons and also really good ways to increase infrared as well. So, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the bottom line is to understand that you are going into hibernation, essentially, to some degree, as much as is necessary. And it's not about pushing, it's about being still, the stillness, and just quiet and listening and processing and shedding, right? So in the
Mm,
winter, some people do lose weight because if you're seasonally aligned, if you're circadian aligned, you're going to eat less. So we didn't talk about anything like that. I mean, we're not going to touch the fasting thing, but some people just eat less, or you're eating only 2 meals a day because you're not going to eat in the darkness. We
I
don't,
do that. I
I
just
don't eat
naturally go
after
down to
dark.
two.
Yeah, I never eat after dark unless I'm sick or something's really off. That's like just
Hmm.
twice a year, maybe
Yeah.
max. So it's a time to just be able to do a reset and a deep, thorough cleanse of your whole
Yeah.
system, spiritually and physically. So it's beautiful. I am
Yeah.
excited about winter all the time now.
Yeah, it's something totally to like really more embrace like it as an ally and how you can see it as a time for growth and repair. And I do the same. I go down to 2 meals a day, so I'm certainly eating less. Like it just naturally happens because when I eat breakfast at 9 and then the daylight ends at 3, 4 o'clock, like I just really only have time for one other meal. And that's, it just doesn't really fit in and I'm not hungry like in the evening. So your body gets used to doing a little bit more of like circadian aligned fasting, I guess you could call it that. But yeah, it's really an ally, and the darkness is a really big way to help us, prepare for deep, deep repair, not only like you said on the physical layer, but on this mental emotional layer, right? I love
Mhm.
that too. So yeah, do it gradual. Like I don't just automatically go from, 9 o'clock bedtime to 7 o'clock bedtime. Like that's like it's a gradual shift. So adjust that bedtime earlier as the daylight shifts, swap the maybe cold foods and raw foods to more like warming foods, which is like I'm not going to eat a salad in the dead of winter. It just doesn't feel aligned. It doesn't even feel like something I would want. Um, you know, that kind of stuff. So I think that's really important. Of course, be connected socially. You don't want to isolate, but like honor the needs for quiet, stillness, and rest also. And that inward time, like, is really important. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a good one.
If you guys want to have more, detailed overview of this and have more of the information about the quantum aspects health-wise, Vanessa has a wonderful webinar on this.
Oh yeah, I have my Thrive in Winter webinar, so you can also check that out. We go over all of these things in really strong detail, and I go over the food, nutrition, the cold plunging, how to make that work for you, all of that. Fasting, circadian line eating, meal timing, what to do with your light environment, all of that is in there. And I also would say, you could work with one-to-one coaching as well, but also this is interesting, and this just came up for my family and some of my clients. You might want to have the homeopathy for influenza and like ear infections course or like acute courses that I have because, helps your body deal with those things that come up in a healthy manner because we don't want to be suppressing those things. We want to move through them. And both of my boys, Thomas and Brendan, they just had like, your colds, kind of like your seasonal colds this time of year. And I was like, right on the equinox. And I was like, oh my God, that's so perfect. Like your body is releasing something that no longer serves you. Like as a mom, I just get so excited about that. I'm like, yes, you have a cold. And they're like, got the cold. And they're totally fine. Like they don't need a homeopathic remedy for this. It's not intense. It's just like their body's just moving some toxicity out, and healthy bodies actually get sick at the equinox. Great books to read is by Barbara Wren. Return to the Light. And she has
Oh,
another one. It's
oh yeah,
really
yeah,
good.
yeah. I have that.
Barbara Wren. Both of her books are really good. I
Okay.
can't think of both of them, but they're both really good. And she talks about how getting sick at the equinoxes is like a really good time where the body actually is transitioning a lot of toxicity and moving things out and how healthy it is. And I was like, yes, kids, great. And then I had another client who was like, oh, I got the flu. I'm like, yes, but you might want to, if your body, some people, depending on like how resilient you are, you might get the cold, cough, flu, and it might linger. Right. So maybe your body's not moving through it. So maybe you need a remedy to support you. So I take acute. acutes, of course, ear infections. If the colds, cough, flus turn to ear infections for kids, that can be really hard, stuck, and stubborn to just move through on your own. So having these courses can be really supportive just to help you feel more resilient, as well.
And when
And
you say you take acutes, in other words, Vanessa is available for appointments for people who are having acute illness, which is flus and stuff. Yeah.
thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it. It's very different because people don't understand that
Oh,
on my website. Like, okay, so like chronic is like your initial, you've had something chronically. But if you just have a random ear infection, your child has that, a random flu that needs support, a UTI, a yeast infection, a strep throat, things like that, that's an acute, something that comes up suddenly and intensely and needs support. It's not your typical norm, right? So I do support people with that. So they don't have to use the suppressive allopathic medicine. They can go and they can use homeopathy to support them. And it's like, I love teaching it. I mean, that join me on my Substack, Healing with Homeopathy. I like teaching like a wealth of information over there about homeopathy and how to use it acutely. I'm talking about cell salts. I'm talking about miasms. I'm talking about how to use remedies acutely because this knowledge is not mine and everybody should know it and every parent should know it, honestly, because I would love you not to need me and just be like, oh, they have a pulsatilla ear infection and just give it. Like, that's great. Like, you don't need me necessarily. You can learn about these remedies and learn how to use them and do it. Like, just,
or acutes. Yeah.
yeah, for acutes, be empowered and handle that shit. Like, I'm just like, I love it. Like, because honestly, my kids haven't been to the doctor in years. And I just love that. I love that as a mom for them and how I'm
Well,
supporting.
yeah, especially when they're not taking antibiotics, which are just going to make everything worse. So,
Yes, that
unless
is
it's
so
very
true.
life-threatening,
We
yes,
avoid that.
sometimes antibiotics are required for life-threatening things like sepsis, but for the run-of-the-mill stuff, day to day, you can treat it homeopathically just fine.
Right, exactly. We need to like not see it as black and white, like this medicine is bad and this medicine is good, right? It's like, how can we merge both? How can we use both? And when we need it, we need it. But when we overuse it, like in my case, it creates problems in a person's life. And acutes heal chronic disease. So if your child is getting acutes and you heal them in a way that works with their body, it's going to prevent chronic disease later on in life for them.
Mhm.
So it's really a strong passion of mine, obviously, as we can tell. So anyway, we really appreciate
Awesome.
you guys tuning in. I want to remind listeners to please rate and review the podcast. We really appreciate it. It helps the podcast grow. Support us, share it, like it, all whatever you got to do to support us. We really, really appreciate that. And yeah, we thank you for tuning in. Anything else, Heather?
Nope. See you next week, you guys.